Welcome everyone, my name is Bintang Alal Arif and today we will talk about pragmatic in linguistic. Before we start, I have 4 main points that I want to talk about today. First is the definition of pragmatic, second is example of pragmatic, and third is the importance of context in pragmatic. And finally, pragmatic in social life. Alright then, let's get started. First is the definition. In linguistic, pragmatic refers to the branch of study that focus on how language is used in real-life context and the way it functions in communication. Pragmatics examines the relationship between language, meaning, and the social aspect of language use. It explores how speakers convey meaning beyond the literal interpretation of words and how listeners interpret and respond to that meaning. What I mean by that, at its core, pragmatic investigate how speakers and listeners use and interpret language in specific situations, taking into account the context, intention, and shared knowledge of the participants. It examines the principles and strategies that govern effective communication, such as implicature, speech act, presupposition, politeness, and the cooperative nature of conversation. In summary, pragmatic in linguistics focuses on the study of how language is used in context, the way meaning is constructed through communication, and the social and pragmatic factors that influence language use and interpretation. Example, in social interaction, people often use indirect language to convey their message. For example, if someone asks you if you want to go to a party, but you don't really want to, you might say, "I'll think about it," instead of saying no directly. This is an example of how pragmatic plays a role in everyday communication. In the workplace, pragmatics can help people navigate office politics and communicate effectively with colleagues. For instance, if a coworker asks for your opinion on a project, you might need to consider the context before responding. If you know that the coworker has been working hard on the project and is invested in it, you might frame your response in a more positive way than if you were talking to someone who didn't have any stake in the project. This is another example of how pragmatics is important in everyday communication. Another example is, in Indonesia, majority of the population is Muslim, and when they've been asked to go someplace they don't want to go, they simply say, "Inshallah, I'll come tomorrow," where in fact, most who said "Inshallah" didn't come the next day. It's just their way of saying, "I don't want to go," or "I can go," politely. Next is the importance of context in pragmatic. Understanding pragmatic requires an understanding of context. Context can be situational, such as the physical setting, also immediate circumstances of a conversation, or cultural, such as the shared belief, also values of a particular community. For example, a simple statement like "I'm fine" can have different meanings depending on the context in which it is said. In a casual social setting, it might simply mean that the speaker is doing well, but in a more formal or professional setting, it could be interpreted as a polite way of avoiding further discussion. Cultural contexts also play a significant role in communication. Different cultures have different norms, also expectations when it comes to language use. Also, failing to understand these differences can lead to a misunderstanding. For instance, in some cultures, indirect language is preferred over direct language, while in others, the opposite is true. Being aware of this cultural difference can help navigate cross-cultural communication more effectively. Next is pragmatic in social life. One example of pragmatism in social life, the use of technology to facilitate communication and networking, rather than relying solely on face-to-face interaction or traditional forms of communication. Many people use social media, email, and other digital tools to stay connected and build relationships. This pragmatic approach allows for more efficient and effective communication and can lead to greater success in personal and professional endeavors. Another example of pragmatism in social life is the use of compromise and negotiation to resolve conflicts. Rather than insisting on a particular position or ideology, a pragmatic approach involves finding common ground and working towards a mutually beneficial solution. This can be particularly effective in situations where there are competing interests or values at play, and can help to maintain positive relationships and avoid unnecessary conflict. Right, that is all from me. Thank you for your attention. I hope you find this presentation helpful. If there is anything you would like to ask, please don't hesitate to contact me below. Thank you once again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.